Okay, everybody, I've got top of the hour for our last virtual Thursday of 2017. I don't know where the year has gone. It's gone by so fast. This is our 20th virtual Thursday, counting for holidays and also it's not the full 24 because we do 2 a month. So welcome, everybody. We're going to go through a lot of reports today that have been released in the past, 6 to 8 months. And before I do that, I've got a few things to take care of here. And if at any point my audio breaks up or you can't see my screen, just shout out a question and we'll troubleshoot it. But we've had good luck with GoToMeeting for many virtual Thursdays. But just in case there's any connectivity issues, just don't hesitate to chime out if you can't hear me or see our screen. So before we get started, we've got about 20 attendees today, and I see a lot of familiar names, so I want to give a little shout out to everybody that I know and have worked with in the past. We've got Andy Olison out at Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Brian Bjornstadt out in North Dakota. Darren Keith, my buddy out at Rock Island Arsenal in the Heartland. Jim Wheeler out at Independence, Ohio. John Longacre, who is at our Miami Regional Training Academy from the Villages in Florida. Got Matt Pellerin from the great state of Arizona, and I say that because that's where I'm coming from. He's in Buckskin. Lieutenant Michael Moore from Orange County, Florida. Nancy Shane from the city of Kentwood in Michigan. Let's see, and Todd Russell out at Palmer, Alaska. So I'm only throwing those names out because I've all worked with you either through support or face-to-face over the course of my time with emergency reporting. So forgive me if I missed anybody, but I'm very glad to have you all on board today as we go over some of the system reports. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a little bit interactive. And before we get started, I want to let you know that as we're going through this, as you see some of these reports we're running, and I'll be sure to put out the number and the title of the report as we go, be sure to run them in your account. So we may use yours as an example to where I'll either log into your account or I'll pass the screen to you so you can show a best practice example of the output of one of these reports, because I've got 4 accounts going with me right now that I've opened up in 4 different browsers, and we are very lucky to have the product owner, the brand new product owner for reports, Luke Goldstein. He's coming to us from the main office in Bellingham, Washington. So Luke, if you want to say a few words and introduce yourself, give a little bit of your background before we get started.
Sure. Just want to make sure you're hearing me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everybody. I've worked with a number of you already. So, yeah, I took over the reports module a couple months ago, so it's taken me a little bit to get a running list of all the things that I want to tweak and fix up, and there's still some stuff to be done, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that we offer, and a lot of the reports that we have been just putting out in the last month have been really exciting and extensive. So anything that you guys, any questions that you have coming along through the virtual Thursday, just let me know and I'll take note and definitely get back to you on anything if I can't answer it right away.
Awesome, Luke. Yep, that's our MO. If we can't answer a question on the spot, we'll do our homework and research and get an answer to you guys, usually same day on any of this. We also have our trainer from another great state of Ohio, Alan Miller. He's with us today, and he's going to jump in and help answer questions as they come in as well. So, Alan, welcome. Glad you're with us today. He's also expecting a little one soon, so he's going to have his second. His wife will be having their second child here this month, so very exciting times in the Miller household.
Oh, congrats.
Okay, so I'm going to go here first. We're not going to get fancy with PowerPoints today, guys. We're going to jump right into this, but there's a few things I want to show you. This is the list of the reports we're going to hit today. Some will go really fast. Others we'll spend a few more minutes on, but you can see it's a pretty lengthy list. And as you look at this list, one of the things you'll notice is sequential and by report number. And many of you already know this, but those of you that don't, the number of a report simply corresponds to its release. So essentially, the higher the number, the newer the report. It doesn't correspond to any, modules or subsections or anything. It's just the higher the number, the newer the report. So we're going to tackle and show examples of report 1696 all the way through the newest report in the system, which is 1730. All right, so that's the list Luke and I are going to be working off of. And we just want to mention that we've got 2 regional training academies coming up in the first 2 months of next year. The January one is going to be from January 16th through the 18th in Orlando. We have that's quickly filling up, so be sure to register if you're interested in going. I will go ahead and put that in the chat, the link here, so you can learn more about it. And then we're going to have another one in Phoenix, February 6th through the 8th, and that one is filling up as well. So we're very pleased to see people taking advantage of these training academies to learn more about the system. So if you're able to attend either of these 2, we would love to see you, but also know that we will be having 6 more of these from March through December of next year. So we're going to have a few more than we typically have just because of the demand for training for emergency reporting. Okay. So please don't hesitate to put questions in as we're going through this. I'm going to go straight to an account. I've got some up. I've got the villages. So John Longacre, you'll see yours today. And we may pull in some other accounts too as we're going through this. But we're going to jump right in to one of the newer reports, 1696. And so I'll repeat the number throughout too, and I'll send everybody a PDF of this document too. In fact, I can do it right now. Hang on one second, guys. I'm going to drag and drop this. I'm going to bring this file in so you can see the reports we're going to cover today. Give me 1 second, and I'll share those with you. There it is. Just be easier, and that way you can reference it as we go. You should get this in the handouts. Stand by, and there it is. Just a simple, simple PDF. Okay, so report 1696. Here we go. This report allows you to see apparatus replacement year by NFIRS apparatus type. So what this is telling me before I even run it is that it's going to be giving me my apparatus replacement year, and it's going to organize the report by the NFIRS apparatus type. So I'm going to run this for 2020 to 2030. This gives you a great report to jump in when you're doing some capital budget planning. So in 2020, okay, I've got a fixed wing tanker that we need to replace. It's going to be $1 million. It's probably a bargain. And then you'll notice here that I have 2 support apparatus. Again, it's organized by NFIRS apparatus type. I've got 2 that have no dollar value. And so what that means is that I'm due to replace those 2 units. It looks like it doubled up there for some reason, so it must be in there twice. But regardless, I've got one where I have a actual cost, okay, and one where there's no dollar value. What that means is in the admin module, under apparatus, U460, I have a date, but I don't have an initial vehicle cost. So in this case, what I teach is that you can put in either 1, what you actually paid for it, or 2, what you expect it will cost to replace it. So then when you run this report, you'll either know, A, it's what we paid for it, so let's add inflation and additional cost to what it would cost to replace it, okay? Or you actually have calculated what you might expect to replace that particular vehicle for. It's okay to put a predictive value in there in lieu of the actual cost if you want to. As long as you apply it consistently, then this report will deliver nicely. And again, it's just that high-level, quick-look report that, hey, this year we're expected to replace these apparatus, and this is what we expect it to cost. And again, I typically run it for a couple years front and back so I can see, okay, here's what we're planning, and maybe we can squeeze in another truck this year, or we'll have to postpone another truck to the following year. And that is report number 1696. 1698. This report is your driver summary report for personnel for date range. So again, I'm in my demo account. I'm going to run it just for 2017. And what it's showing me is that Dave, Robert, and Dale all have been a driver for one incident on these apparatus. And so, well, where do I get this data from? Now, what will typically happen, and what will be happening now that Luke is the product owner, is that there'll be a description in this box that will serve you very well, and you'll notice it in many of our other reports, that it's telling you where this data is coming from. So this report was requested by one of our customers because they want to track how many times people are driving to and from a call in order to help them with the driver-operator credentialing, or just to document how often they've driven to and from incidents. So where this report is pulling from, very quickly. So I'm going to bounce between the report and then in some cases where that report is pulling data from, so you can understand how to make use of that report in the future. So here, just make sure I'm not commingling accounts. Okay, good. Okay, so this is pulling from basic info 4 in the incident report. It is looking at the apparatus, and it is diving into this field, the add roles. So in this case, if I were to add a role for Richard, that he was the driver operator, and in this case it's action taken number 58, that's what this report is pulling from. So somewhere along the way during 2017, Dave was on an incident. He was the driver operator of engine 3. And it's showing up as 1. It just means that for that incident, for that truck, someone selected this as his role. Okay, I'm going to pause. Got a question? Great. You know what? That is because so Brian's asking, in the future, can you add miles if it's entered? So there are, especially for EPCRs, but then you've got this dispatch to scene mileage field for those that have the EMS module, or I should say fire and EMS package. So it doesn't do that right now, Brian, but that's a great user story to where it could extract this mileage and then also put that in the report, because I know in my department, part of our requirement as a DO is you got to drive so many miles too. So keep that one in mind as a good user story to supplement that report. And so then it would add miles. And I know Luke's probably taking notes as we speak on this.
I already got it.
Yep, awesome. TYVM. Tell me what those vehicle mileage, total year vehicle mileage. So anyway, okay, Brian, good. Okay, we got it. Awesome. All right. Cool. Keep the questions coming. Next up, report 1700. Now, I don't know how good my account's going to be here for this. So if you guys are running one of these and running this in your account, and you've got some good data, just throw a question down, and we'll either open up your account here or we'll switch over the screen to you. So this one is apparatus out of service time for apparatus ID for vehicle number for date range. So we love the title of our reports, but they are, when it's done right, it does tell you a lot. And I have always taught that take a look at it. If it sounds good, run it to see if it's going to give you the output that you want. But whenever you see the word for in a report, it's your friend because it's a filter. So I have a filter for apparatus ID, I have a filter for vehicle number, and I have a filter for date range. So that's 1 filter, 2 filter, 3 filters. Okay? So I'm going to run it for the year. I'm going to hope we have some data here. Not very good. Okay, so that's all right. What it would tell me is that in the maintenance module, when I take a vehicle out of service for maintenance and then place it back in service with the date and time, it calculates that and lets me know how many hours and minutes that vehicle has been out of service for the time period that I select here. So let me see who else is doing this, if we've got another example of a department that's doing that. Miami Valley, let's see if you guys are doing that.
If you want to send it over to me.
Absolutely.
We don't do it, Tom.
You betcha. Stand by. I want to pass it to you so you can show them. We want to show you some really good best practice examples, guys, so you can see how this report can be useful and not just in demo accounts. And so if you run this in your account and you're like, man, ours looks great, let us know and we'll put that up on the screen. Okay, we're passing it over to you as presenter.
Yeah, the one I have isn't, it doesn't have a ton of data, but it definitely has a little bit more. Let's see, and show screen. Let's see.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Wait, which one? Are you seeing Lower Merion?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know which screen you were showing.
Yeah,
so same thing like Tom was saying. So these apparatus, this was taken out of service on January 31st and then put back in service that same day, but you can see that it calculates the hours and then the minutes that it was out of service. And then the truck was then later taken out of service late in February and not put back in service until kind of early mid-March, and so it shows 261 hours. It probably would be better, when I get to look at every report one by one, I'll probably add days into this in case, so it doesn't look like 261 hours. But it does go to days on the bottom where you see the total.
which is awesome. And this is huge. I know for Darren out at the Rock Island Arsenal, this is a huge element for the Department of Defense in determining whether or not they're going to keep vehicles, when they're going to be due for replacement, or if they've got just a problem apparatus. Now they've got the data to back it up nicely. And again, as long as the good stuff's going in, you're going to get the good stuff coming out. And so Darren's is saying his isn't showing any data, which means for the time period that he ran it for, trucks are not being taken in and out of service as maintenance is being done on them. And so once that starts taking place, you'll get data in this report. So what it means is this. Luke, I'm going to steal it back from you.
Yeah, take it back.
So what it means is in the maintenance module, where this data comes into play, is anytime you do I'm not going to do it in a live account, so I have to be very careful. Okay, so I want to go to apparatus, and if I were to add a maintenance request, I can take that vehicle out of service here. It'll time and date stamp it for the right now, or if I took it out of service yesterday but forgot to do a maintenance request, I can go in and edit that. Okay, and then time starts. And so then when that apparatus goes back in service, time stops, and then you get that report that Luke is showing for each individual period that it's taken in and out of service. So that's all through the screen. No, am I not showing it?
I think I'm just seeing the
No, that's my fault. I clicked it and didn't click it. Operator error. So back to what I was saying. Now you can actually see what I was talking about. When you request maintenance, you can take an apparatus out of service. It will automatically date and timestamp it here. Of course, if you've taken it out of service yesterday and just finally got around to entering the maintenance request, you can change your date and time. And then when you request and close it, that time starts. Okay? So now it's out of service. And through the magic of databases, once you go back to that apparatus and that particular maintenance item, okay, you put it back in service, it will date and timestamp that apparatus. So you can see it's been in service since 4/6/2017. So if I took it out of service, it would show it out of service. And then I go back in service, time stops for that period, and then that'll start generating the data that Luke showed you in the report earlier. And that's report number 1700. Okay, no questions so far. All right, 1703. I'm always happy when I see reports pertaining to custom questions. So this is a response percentage for custom question 4, filter by custom question, which is great because sometimes I don't need to see every one of my questions in a report. For personnel, for incident type, for date range. And again, anytime I'm in a demo account, I like to put a wide swath of ranges in here. So I'm going to go 2017, all people, all questions, all incident types. But just know that because this is a newer report, you have multi-pickers, which are a beautiful thing. And one of the key things I want to show you on multi-pickers, because someone will say, well, I just want to run A shift. You can do that. So we're going to click Pick Multiple, and we're going to pretend that all these guys are A shifters. Okay? I am now going to remember this selection as A shift and say it's A shift station 151. I'm going to click OK. And so now, in the future, I no longer have to go in and start picking people. All I have to do is run my pre-configured list, and now I'm getting everybody for A shift at station 151. And then the other question that always comes up, and we'll just do this now because this is a big deal for people, say A shift changes and you want to change it or delete it. How do I do that? All you do is go in and load that selection. Say, well, we're done, I want to get rid of that. I can click delete here in the upper right corner and it goes away, or I can edit it because now Mike's on A shift, but the other person is no longer on A shift, and then I just remember that selection here, click OK, and it updates that list. So let's run it for this wide range of data here so we can see what the output looks like. And it doesn't look like anything because those people aren't on a call. There's that one. And this is when we're all they have to be reviewed. Okay, here we go. So this is the response percentage. So when it says response percentage, how often was that question answered? And so when it's a required field, you're going to expect it's going to be 100%. But the ones that are not required, well, the total should be, excuse me, for 100%. My mistake. Should be a 100%, showing how much was answered no, how many were answered yes, or if it's a multi-picker that has more than 2, it will break down the response for that question. And then this one does have a descriptor in the bottom. Okay, next up, and I will use an Ohio account for this one. Is report 1704. Now, I know not all of you are on NEMSIS 3 yet, but this is a state validation report. So what it's going to do is it's going to show the submission statuses, and this has to do with the status of an EPCR. So it's a new EPCR, the submission's in progress, it's an invalid submission, there's a wait on it, a need to retry, failure, or success. Okay? And so what this is telling me is when I run this report, I can see my state validation. And this is a nice one because I see the word success a lot. Okay? And so it breaks it down by incident date, incident number, the EPCR. So some incidents, you'll probably have an incident number twice if there's a multi-patient incident, like this one. 778 had 2 patients. Both were successfully submitted to the state. And Luke must have had a hand in this one.
I did. So we just updated this maybe like 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, because one of the big things that we found out was a lot of incidents that may be worked on. You want to know as quickly as you can what the state has replied. So you want to know, especially if it's invalid or they kick it back to you. You want to know that as soon as possible so you can fix it. Now, you might have authorized your PCR maybe a day, 2 days, or even 3 days before you actually finish and review the incident itself. So when the report was originally built, it only looked at incidents that were fully reviewed. So we recently updated that, and which is why you see the submission status picker. So now, or not that one, sorry, but what it does now is it'll actually look at everything that's authorized, whether or not the incident is incomplete, complete, or reviewed.
So it's independent then of the status of the overall incident report, the NFIRS element. So even if that is in an incomplete state, a red lock state, a red unlock state, this report will still run because it's looking only at the EPCR status.
Right, because that really is the most important thing that you're looking for here.
Right. And the reason I said Luke had a hand in this is because it has a nice description here. And so it explains what do these statuses mean. Okay, it must contain an authorized PCR to begin with. So if it hasn't been authorized, the incident will not be counted. So please take advantage of it. And we're going to be working through our reports and updating these descriptions, but I know moving forward there should be a very nice description here that will help clarify, okay, where is this data coming from? And in this case, what do all these statuses mean? So when there's new terminology, that also will be explained here as well. Okay, so we can move on. I know we're going to hit the top of the hour and be barely done here. So, all right, 1705. This is incident response and apparatus times for date range, for incident type, for zone, for apparatus, for response mode with occupancy. So what this looks like, and it's a mouthful, but just break it up by fours. Whenever you see the word four, you've got a filter. When I get a report like this and there's lots of fours, I'm going to go to it because it gives me, it's almost as good as full-on ad hoc reporting because I get so much control over this report. Once again, I'm going to go wide here, high level, so I can get some data out of this so you can see what the output looks like. Again, this is 1705. We'll let it run, and it's probably going to, I ran probably too wide a date range. In fact, let's stop that because otherwise we'll be sitting here. All right, we'll let this run for the month of January. It's a lot to look at here, so okay, so this report, now what's key to know here is this is only going to work if you select use occupancy address on basic 3. So the data's coming in here, no problem, but it will not break it out by occupancy. This has been a discussion we've had about integrating a history tab in the occupancy module to show incidents, how many incidents have run for a particular occupancy. This report can do that only if you show use occupancy address on basic 3. So here's all of our incidents. Now, if I had it, if I knew it was if there was a particular occupancy here, it would show all those incidents for that occupancy, along with the occupancy information here in the almost like a salmon-colored row here. And again, you wonder, well, response mode, what's a 390? Okay, we don't have a 390 or report status of 2. Now, this is a report that needs the descriptors because I know in report 1689, okay, which is before this block of reports we're going over, these are our codes, system database codes for lights and sirens or no lights and sirens. There's 4 of them, right? Because there's either upgraded and downgraded, and then there's lights and sirens or no lights and sirens. So there's 4 of them. Likewise with the report status, there's one for completed reports, incomplete reports, and reviewed reports. And so this is an example if you go to report, and I'm going to just do it to show you, report 1689. If I run it, very similar report actually. Those do have the descriptors in the bottom. I want to show you this just briefly. Okay, so 380 is lights and sirens, downgraded is 385, 390, 395. Aid, mutual aid given, 1, 2, 3, 4. And status of reports, 0 equals incomplete, 1 is complete, 2 is reviewed. So that's just the codes for that. And so when you get bewildered by, well, wait a minute, what is this? Sometimes it was faster to just do this code. And part of it is because you'll know with NEPSIS 3, they call it emergent, non-emergent. And so that code's still the same, just the jargon is different. Okay? All right, so that was 1705. 1707, so I'm going to just do, I'm not going to run all of these, 1707, 1708, 17, these are low SAP reports, but I'm going to run in 1715. This is one we worked on for Lower Merion in Pennsylvania. This allows them to run a low SAP, and those of you in the Northeast know what this is all about. For volunteer departments, it allows them to track their participation, and part of that participation counts towards their volunteer retirement. And so you can filter this by training class categories, month, personnel, event categories, and even event types, and incident types. So you can really get a filter in here nicely, and I'm going to just do admin. Let's do this. I don't know if we'll get data here, but we're going to try it. Then you have to be using the events module, the training module, and of course the incidents module for this to generate a report. Yeah, this will get you the idea. So you can see for Brandon, by the month, shows his number of incidents, training events, and regular events. And Miami Valley's not using the events module probably, but he ran 387 calls for 2017 thus far, and that's 4.9% of the total calls for that department. Yeah, this was the one we worked on for Lower Merion. This is great. And so if we were in their account right now, this would be a killer report. So that's why it will work for other agencies, even though it's titled for that department. That's just so they can quickly find that that's their report that they had built. Okay, so those are what the LOSAP reports look like. Now I want to go into some of our group reports here, and this is for North Dakota. So in your list there, you're going to see report 1709. Okay. This is a unique report. It's sitting around too long. Hold on one second. What's the EAD on that one again, Luke, for North Dakota?
1 second. Let me pull it up. Go North Dakota. It's the state admin one?
Yep.
6437. 6437.
You're the best. Thank you. And that was an example of where I let it sit too long, and it had its inactivity log out after probably 20 minutes. Okay, so 1709. What this particular report does, and again, these reports are all accessible to you, but this is the state report, and there's group accounts here that they can pick from. These are all the different groups within North Dakota, and so they're going to run it for 2017, and they can run it per group. Per department, but this breaks it down. You can see there's 45 pages. It's a bewildering account or a report, but it's showing you for wildland incidents a lot of information that's very important to the state. And so I know Brian, who's on with us, these are probably reports he looks at. 1710, again, another report, and again, we keep our California, both our California customers, the residents, and all the firefighters out there, because they're battling some nasty, nasty wildfires in the Los Angeles area right now. So here, they're able to run number of acres and fires by cause. And so these are the number of fires, number of acres burned, and then the causes. And then by class as well, because they have the classifications. And then the last one is a summary report. And I'm going to skip 1712. We'll just run this one. This is 1711. Okay, so this breaks it out. So you can see these are the series of calls, the N for series, all right, and total number of incidents. Okay, but this is unique because it breaks it down to the natural vegetation fires, which is very important to them. And again, incident data is restricted to either completed or reviewed incidents. All right, here's one, and this is one that's really cool because I am going to go into a live account for that. I'm going to try the villages on this one. So report number 1713, and I was just working with the customer on this one, not this particular report, but this type of need. He wants to be able to see the total elapsed time per incident on a call. So basically from alarm to cleared scene. Okay, cool report. So 100 series calls. So this one is from the villages in Florida. They had a rubbish fire on the 1st. Dispatch, or excuse me, not dispatched, alarm, 1807. Last unit cleared at 1823. So total time was 16 minutes and 29 seconds. So quick knockdown. Okay, time spent on incidents and then total time. Broken down by N for incident type. And the question that customer I was working on was, well, I need an average. So this isn't giving an average. You know, I can get to the bottom of the report and there's no average. It's total. However, for each one, I can certainly take this out into Excel via either an Excel or preferably a text download and just run averages on it. Run the average report, average function, run the average function on that part of it and it'll give you an average time. So it's still, while it's not an exact report in the system, where it gives you averages, it's not hard to take any of our reports out and apply some Excel functions to it to get the data you might be looking for. So that's kind of a part of the solution I worked with that customer. Hey, we are doing pretty good on time. All right, so the next one is 1714, and we're going to go to demo account. This one, now, this one says summary of ISO training hours for personnel per training code category per location for date range. Okay, so what that means is filter by person, okay, filter for date range, and oddly enough, I can, despite the title, I can still filter by location, all right, and by training code. So this is using the data in your training classes and showing you how many hours were spent, okay, for each training code. So it says ISO here, but using the standards in ISO for ISO is the way to go. This is another way to do it, to grab those by training code. Okay, I'm partial to using the standards myself and applying those to the class. Okay, 1716, another report. Brian makes a good comment here, guys. He says exactly to my comment earlier. Please remember to download an Excel format and then go from there, because even with just basic Excel knowledge, taking some of these reports out into Excel, you can work some magic with, you know, pivot tables are more advanced for sure, but applying filters on columns, creating charts, even just, you know, you could self-study in YouTube. I'm telling you, there's a lot of good how to do this, because as adult learners, we don't need to sit through necessarily a semester-long class. We need to learn something now. And if you type in searches in YouTube for some of the things you might need to do, is like how to create a chart in Excel, or how to do a pivot table. I mean, you can get a 10-minute video and practice with your own data just by taking it out into an Excel download.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that and back that up, because that's how I do it now. And if somebody asks me about how to get something done when they've downloaded something but they need it to say a particular thing, I had someone today who was saying like they needed city and state to show up a particular way, and removing something from the Excel download that they didn't need in the formatting. I had no idea how to do it, but I searched it and found the answer within like 5 minutes, and that was it.
You can work some magic. The data is there. It just may not be. And of course, Brian has to tease us and needle us a little bit. He says faster than rating for report modifications. So very funny, Brian. But now you got Luke on the job, so things are. We have a dedicated person now. So look out. We may be coming back at you. So total training hours. So this is just high level, total number of hours. I can give it per person. Again, I got a multi-picker, so I can do it for my crew. I can do it for my shift. You can do it for my battalion. Okay. That's report numbers 17, 16, 1716. Okay, moving next to report number 1717. And I know probably you guys are here because you're power users, so in case you're wondering what I'm doing here, those of you that are new to this, is if you know your report number, you can type it in the search field and click the magnifying glass, and it'll perform the search and take you directly to that report. Don't forget also that if you see a report that you use frequently, add it to your favorites, and then instead of having to either remember the number or type in keywords to find it again, you can just go to your favorites button and it will be right here. Okay, so we'll run this one. Oops. Okay. This is one where it's got because of the text, it's an unusually large parameter section and an unusually small report section. So to fix that, I can zoom in and zoom out, but what I would simply do is just download it.
Yeah, I'll fix that at some point.
And then I've got my report here in a PDF format. And so this is a summary of everybody's certifications. Again, I can use my filters to change the certification type. So let's say I wanted to see everybody who has their Fire Officer 1. I could run that report and then have that as a nice master list, quick list to reference. Whoops, quick list to reference right here. Nice thing about it is it'll show you granted, when it was renewed, when it expired, and any other notes that you may have put in there. So Darren Keith says, so Luke is the man to make my request to compare years with the reports. Let me see the rest of it. So this is from Darren at Rock Island Iriswood. So yes, that's the one you sent me. Yes, to compare years with the reports. That is correct. Although you could still send them to me, but I will probably be forwarding them to Luke, especially with my new role with emergency reporting. So okay, back to. Oh, this was one I just ran today, and I never knew it existed, but it's neat. Report number 1718, and I'll probably need to go to a live account for this to really show it, but this is the monthly incident hydrant and fire marshal services report. Like, I didn't even know we had this one. So check this data out. Okay, so this is terrible because it doesn't have anything in here, but what it does is, for a fire marshal, shows average response times for first arriving units to these NFIRS type calls, total number of calls. Yeah, we got to run this in a real account. This is not fun. Let's do this.
Go to Miami Valley.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, this, because it's going to be much, much more interesting in a real account. And I'm going to go ahead and run it for the quarter because they have a lot of data. So Wait a minute. So check this one out. Monthly Incident Hydrant and Fire Marshal Services Report. Average response times, count of calls broken down by 100 series, but they wanted it isolated. Okay, here. So I need to find out, where is this data coming from, Luke, the hose deployment?
I will find that out for you.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I know actually somebody else asked that.
Is
So
that
yeah,
from a custom question?
Yes, I think it is actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just they have a custom question that asks, I think, was hose deployed in that particular call?
Interesting. Okay. And so clearly, if there were structure fires, hose was deployed, but then this one actually pulls it from that custom question. Okay. Specialized responses.
We don't have a hose deployment custom question.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because I bet it's looking for that, because we have another report for arson that pulls for certain custom questions.
Okay.
Certain custom questions. Okay, and then so here we go. Fire hydrants tested, fire marshal services. What's this here, guys? These are your inspections. How many did you perform? That is a cool high-level summary for prevention division. Is there a way, so could be coming, this here could be coming from, probably not coming from CAD notes here, the hose deployment.
Yeah, and I just looked, it actually wasn't a custom question, so I'd have to dive into it. I know I did look for this specifically because...
Okay, yeah, if you find it while we're online here, that'll be good for all of us to learn, because I don't, what delineates a 111 or a 112 with or without hose deployment? And clearly, there's some parameter here that's triggering it, because they have 10 structure fires for the month of December, but none saying hose deployment. So I wonder where that's grabbing it from.
I will find out.
And I know I pulled hose during that time, so it's lying.
Going through some questions here. So is there a way to line that up with the custom report, custom question? So Andy, explain further for me. Just type it in, and if need be, I can unmute you, and we can figure that out. If you mean right here for custom question, and then will there be a report like 1718, but instead of average time, it would use the 90th percentile for response? So we have to knock out, and Luke can attest to the challenge here, but we have 2 reports that are being worked on as we speak, pertaining to the 90th percentile. Once we have those down solid, then it probably wouldn't be that difficult to incorporate instead of averages, because we know for accreditation we hate averages. They're helpful, they're giving you a little ballpark number, but they're not good for accreditation purposes. So what you're saying, Scott, is the ability to replace this section with 90th percentile and put the time there. So can it be done? Yes. Keep that in mind, because once we get the other 90th percentile reports done, then reports like this will not be hard to basically replicate this report but replace average with the 90th percentile.
Yeah, the one that we're working on now, and just to explain why we have to be so careful about kind of making sure that we lock that down solid, is when we're doing something that's in 90th percentile, you have to imagine that every time you ask for that, it's actually running a separate report just inside that parameter, and it has to run another report for every single field that you're asking it for the 90th percentile of. So they become incredibly complex, and we want to make sure that the answers that it's feeding you back are correct.
And your head hurts when you think about when we were mocking this, when I first started mocking it up and then passed the baton to Luke and his team. Yeah, it hurts your head.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Brian wanted to mention here on certification and recording, don't forget to mention certification on the main screen and how you set it in the admin so they know, so you know before and after they expire. Yeah, so what I believe Brian's talking about, we'll just do a quick detour because it is a good point. Quick detour here is that you can set notifications to show your own. So if you're a firefighter, you won't have these 3 radio buttons, but you can see your certifications that are expiring in the future and any that have expired in the past based on the time that you enter here. And then if you're an admin, you have the ability to see. So let's see if Miami Valley is doing certifications or not. So I want to see everything that expires in the next 90 days, anything that may have expired in the past 30 days. And so what this shows me, if they're doing it, they may not be. Well, yeah, they sure are. Okay, awesome. So this is telling me these are all the certifications that are expiring in the near future, and these are ones that have expired, all in a quick notification on the front. So good point, Brian. Thanks, man. Okay, we're doing good. So, guys, if we run past the top of the hour, we're getting through these reports pretty quickly. We're not going to hold you hostage, but I will finish this list up, and so it may take us past the top of the hour. So if you're okay with it, please stick around. If you've got other commitments, we completely understand. And in the event I get rambling here, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and everything. And we'll be back doing virtual Thursdays. Probably the second. I got to look on our calendar. It may be the first, but if it's not the first Thursday because of holiday in 2018, it will be the 3rd Thursday, and we'll just keep resuming these throughout next year. So, and those of you that have participated, and I know most of you on today have participated in many of these, I just want to thank you for supporting this endeavor. We find them very valuable. We get really good feedback on them, and then of course we're recording them and then post them as a webinar archive on our knowledge base so they can be viewed and looked at again later. Okay, let's see. 1718, Scott, yep, he goes, yep, great. So regarding the report 1718 using 90th percentile, no promises on when that will happen, but once we've got the other 90th percentiles working, then that opens things up for other reports for sure. Okay, Andy's saying that question is built into the report. I would prefer not to have to show 0 with hose deployment if I know it to be true. So we just need to find out where this actual line item is coming from. When I see something like this, knowing that NFIRS doesn't ask about hose deployment, where we're actually getting that data from. So we'll find out. We'll find out.
I'm walking through an incident right now trying to find it.
We'll find out for you guys, and if we don't find out now, I'm going to make a note. We'll just send everybody who participated in an email where that came from. So 1718 hose deployment. Okay. All right. So, and Scott and Andy, great feedback there. Okay, John, I will get to your question here momentarily because some of the reports. Well, the EMS reports, there's actually not any brand new ones yet on the list that I've got. But John's question was, any word on being able to pull reports from NEMSIS 3 data? The answer there is yes. Before we close today, don't let me forget, I will show you where you can extract that data. Okay, next up, report number 1720. This is if you're using points. Common for volunteer departments, not so common with career departments. Case in point. Okay, but this will break it down by your total points for incidents, points for training, and points for events, and then the total percent that you. So if you had 100 points possible and you had 50, it would show 50%. This is very, very common for volunteer departments.
Yeah, if you wanted to run it, if you have Lower Merion open, they will provide you data.
I don't think I have them open.
I have them open if you want to send it to me.
Absolutely.
Because I ran it for the whole year.
So just this report. Yeah, I'm going to pass it to you, Luke.
All right. Let's see.
Okie doke, coming your way.
Got it. Okay. You see my screen now?
No, sure do.
All right. So yeah, there you go. This is what this would look like with a volunteer department that's using points for everything. So you can see that, you know,
Do a
Abram's on the top
zoom,
here.
do a zoom in, couple zooms in.
Oh, let me see here. Hold on. Let me move this out of the way.
Should be able to control plus.
There we go.
Mhm.
Is
There
that
we
better?
go. Yeah, much
right.
better.
Yeah, so you can see on top here, you know, they've got incident points, training points, and event points, and you can see the totals of everything, the percentages that they've got, and basically what it comes out to in terms of how many points they actually earn for each of those things that they attended. So, like Tom was saying, this is, and it's got down here what it does. You know, it is very important for the volunteer departments, and this is something that Stuart, previous product owner over reports, has been working really, really hard on. So there's a couple more of these coming out, hopefully before the end of the year.
Go ahead and run. Go ahead and run 1721 also. Since you're online, you're probably going to have some good data for this customer as well. See how 1721 looks. So this is the incident monthly report for stations with incident count and first arriving unit response time or response mode.
There you go. Let's see. Can you see it okay?
Looks good.
Yeah. So yeah, this one definitely does have a lot of data they've recorded. So this is definitely handy. And a lot of things that we've also done recently is updated some of the report parameters to show completed and reviewed incidents, because we were hearing from some of our customers that they wanted to run reports kind of quicker than they were seeming to have access for the data, because sometimes it does take a lot of time to get the person who's actually supposed to review those incidents to sit down and review them, but they are completed and they want the access to that data. So we've started changing a lot of things that have been referenced by only reviewed incidents to reviewed with completed and reviewed incidents, so that basically your reports are more accurate, quicker.
Awesome, Luke. While you're there, let's just knock out the next two, 1722 and then 1723, and that'll leave us just four more.
There you go. I've already got these up. So this one is 1722. There you go. And yeah, it's a big report. So again, for some of these things that you see, alarm time and dispatch time, reports that require those, and where you get turnout time, travel time, these things are only going to be as accurate as the information that you put in. So I know Tom referenced this before. If you put in good data, you're going to get out good data. So if you end up with reports where you've got, say, an alarm time but no dispatch time, or a dispatch but no en route time. So by doing that, you end up breaking formulas that need those times. So like the turnout time would need the dispatch and en route time. Travel time would need all of the times. So, the better you are at putting the information in and the more accurate that is, the better the reports are when they come out.
So scroll down just to confirm the 1710 time. I'm pretty sure that's going to be from a...
Oh, this is...
total of turnout and travel time. So it's adding, basically, it's essentially adding up your time from dispatch to on scene is what it's adding up. Very good. Just want to confirm what it was pulling from. All right, 1723.
Let's see here.
I like this one a lot. We get not, I wouldn't say frequent requests, but we get a handful of requests for overlapping calls, because this helps justify departments being able to, build stations, add personnel, add apparatus. And what a definition of an overlapping call is any incidents that are basically being run simultaneously. So you're tapping your resources quite significantly when you've got overlapping calls. And then when you've got a high percentage of overlapping calls, these are calls where people are running, units are running out of their jurisdiction to cover calls in other areas.
Well, that would be a really good one for ours.
Yeah.
This is, so Alan, does this look right to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're busy. I mean, they're nearly 70% of their calls for the month of December have been overlapped. Does that sound right, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alan, you're from Miami Valley?
Yep.
Yeah. So, just to let you guys know, you guys put in amazing data. So, every time I'm looking to test reports and make sure that they return the right data, I'm always using your account.
Awesome. It's good to hear.
Be careful. Once Orange County gets rolling, they're going to be one to look at, too.
Yeah.
No, they're going to break our system. They're too big.
Never. Okay, so I like this one because as a chief officer, I could say, okay, to if I'm a fire district, go to my fire board, and say, listen, we've got total 164 calls. Overlapping was 114. We've got a 70% overlap. We are running our tails off, and we need to, staff. And then I show a report on response times to back this up even further. So another good report. And if you ever want to look at even the older reports for overlapping, just do a keyword search overlapping or overlap, and you'll see the different reports that pertain to overlapping calls. All right, let's skip. We're at the top of the hour, and we're going to let's go straight to report 1726. And we might as well use Miami Valley since they have good data. So 1726 looks like a lot, and it is. However, this particular report we call our Stats FD download. What this report allows you to do, both you can use it internally, but the intent is with our relationship with Stats FD. Michael Fay is the gentleman that owns Stats FD, and he's amazing when it comes to data, and it allows you to import into his system and run a lot of things as it pertains to accreditation, okay, among other things. But this is a table that are required fields for him to process and be able to run the myriad of reports in his system, including reports for accreditation. So both using ER and StatsFD, you've got a pretty powerful combination for accreditation. And that doesn't mean we're not going to keep doing our reports and getting better reports for accreditation as well. It just provides you that immediate need. And this export is paramount to being successful with StatsFD. That's a brand new report. All right, 1728.
There you go.
All right. This one is single unit incidences by date range. So again, no descriptor box here, but Luke, you probably know a little bit about this report, so maybe kind of give us a little.
This was kind of right as I came in as the product owner. This was one of the big reports that were being built at the time. So it's another one of kind of the large, complex reports. It was being referred to as a CIPSI report, so I'm not exactly sure what that term means. But yeah, I mean, basically you can see it's another thing of every incident where I think it's where only one unit ran, and all the times that go with that.
So single unit responses.
Yeah, and then the next one
takes it to the next level and covers everything.
Yeah, and this is all unit
responses.
Yeah, this will show single, I think, and multiple. Yeah, it shows single and multiple ones. So this is every unit.
So what this is doing, and so everybody knows, and probably many of you know, I know, Luke, you're not from the fire service, but CIPSI is a Center for Public Safety Excellence, and it is the governing body for the accreditation process.
Well, there you go.
And so these reports can then be pulled out, and I know there's a data class that CIPSI puts on that probably makes use of these tables to be able to crunch those numbers. All right. So guys, let me see if we've got any questions. Looking here. Oh, yep. Andy puts a comment in about SIPSI. Is there a report that figures from en route time to on-scene time for apparatus? So that we're talking travel time, right, Brad? So travel time. So we can do a search. I'll go in and do a search, see what we've got. I'm pretty sure we have something that will be effective there. So give me a second here. I'll bring the screen back over to me. I just want to make sure. And guys, we did pretty good. We're only 5 minutes past the hour, so I want to thank all of you for being part of our last Virtual Thursday. Luke or Alan, do you have any additions, anything else you'd like to discuss before we close it out? And then
no, I mean, for me, I know that one of the questions, you know, kind of earlier on was about the number of, or where the N3 reports and kind of.
right. Yeah, we need to go back there.
Yeah.
Let me steal.
Oh yeah, take the back. But just to let you know, while Tom's taking the screen back, that yes, we are working on those. There should be actually 3 brand new N3 reports coming out this Tuesday with the next deploy, and then we're just going to keep working on cranking those out. Some of the reports that you saw today, the single unit and all unit incidences, the stats FD, and then also the 90th percentile report that Tom and I have been talking about. Those reports were incredibly high priority and also incredibly, like I said, complex to do. So our report team was kind of buried on those for a while, so it kind of paused a bit on the Nemesis 3 report rollouts. So once they kind of got past a certain amount for that, we've been able to pick up steam, and so we're going to continue moving forward, but you should start seeing them populating.
So John, this is the next question. I'm glad you remember that, Luke. So John from the Villages, what you'll want to do for now is put in a keyword N3, and these are the reports that, and this list will get bigger and bigger, but these are the reports that pull from both Nemesis 2 and Nemesis 3. For those that were with us with Nemesis 2 and now are on Nemesis 3, or just have Nemesis 3, either one of those, these are the reports that will pull data from Nemesis 3. So it will also pull from those of you that were with us with Nemesis 2 before you switched over to Nemesis 3. It'll extract it from both Nemesis versions and give you some quality data there. And then I think there was one I just remember reading that was Nemesis 2. Yeah, you'll see this right now when you do reports, search for EMS, Nemesis 2 incidents only. It will let you know that currently the patient age breakdown is only pulling from Nemesis 2. I know on the roadmap prior to Luke coming on board that the intent was to get every single EMS report that we have in the system, and I don't mean patient care, I mean the system report, to pull from Nemesis 3 also. And is that still the case, Luke?
No, I mean in terms of the N2 and N3 reports, the ones that were built previously that were combo reports, that basically what we found was that the report writing for those was actually incredibly complex to do there, and it was slowing them down a lot to do both in one, because of the fact that Nemesis 3 has a number of fields and options and data points that don't exist in N2. So it became hard to actually give the accurate data for N3 while actually giving N2 correctly. So it was decided at a certain point to stop doing that. So the N2 reports, the ones that were previously there, that's why you see the Nemesis 2 incidents only. When I came on, I made sure that that was one of the things they did pretty quickly, was to add that to anything that was going to stay as an N2 report. And then every time an N3 report rolls out, it will say that it's an N3 report. That way it can actually show you the correct data.
Excellent. Excellent. It'll be very helpful, so there's not that, why am I not getting any data? Well, because exactly. It's incident only. Okay. Incidents only for that particular report. Okay, so I think there was one question They're a report that figures en route time to on-scene time. So you go en route and you get on scene. All right, and that's going to be your travel time. So let's do just a keyword search here real quick for travel time. So you can run any of these that should give you your travel time. Let's go with 1653. Nah, we don't want. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, there
want
should definitely be something that runs that.
compliance percentage. We want to see. I want one that's going to be like 1641. That one's such a good report. Let's just see what this one runs. And then we got one more comment. One of our other trainers joined in, and he has a couple comments on 1730. So let's. Let me just see what this shows. If it shows what, if it looks like 1641, we've got a good report. Yeah, no, it's not what I thought. We want to be able to, you can see if it's compliant or not compliant, but you'd want to be able to see it by per incident. So we'll have to
I'll
dig
keep
on.
looking at that while you're.
Keep looking while I'm talking. I know we probably have something that comes close. And then on 1730, so on 1730, one thing Ryan discovered is that the census field is actually pulling from the map page field, it looks like, instead of pulling from the census tract field in an incident report. And so what that means is, go out of this account.
You can use 1113. That will show data.
I was just going to say that. For the
Account
travel time.
Account 1113?
No, he's saying for the report, if you're looking for en route to on scene.
No, no, I was going to say for account 1113, that will show the data for the map page.
That's funny because report 1113 actually shows data.
That's coincidental.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm going to play 1113 in the lottery somehow.
All right, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so the census is actually pulling, so in this column here, guys, see where it says census. What Ryan is saying is that on an incident report, on basic 3, it's actually pulling from the map page, not from the census tract. So either that, we need to change that to map page in the report, or have it actually pull from the census tract.
I will get that fixed, one way or the other.
Awesome. Okay. Andy's saying 1728, report number 1728. This is why it's good to have like lots of people working on this, because you can find it. So that, I think he's referring to, that shows your travel time. I know we have others that do that.
Yeah, 1722 will also show, it has, I mean, it shows more, but it will have your en route time, and it'll have your arrival time.
So they want to be able to see, I'm betting that they want to be able to see, Brad wants to be able to see the time, there it is, travel time.
Yeah.
Brad, is that helpful? Are those reports helpful? It's there. It's just there's so many reports that we may need to explore a little bit to find it, but many of our reports do indeed include travel time. Okay. Closing this out, Nancy says, so this is a good one to share with everybody. So 1042, report number 1042. Whoops. Nancy, are you referring to report 1042? Because there is no 1042. Our commission wants to know the compliant types, so we go to the complaint types we go to, and we can't tell them now that we've switched to N3. It's important for us to have this soon.
Oh, you're talking about there's 1412 has complaint impression destination. 1041.
1041.
Okay, that's incident per complaint.
All time. No, not that's right. Incident count per complaint. So right now, this is only pulling from NEMSIS 2. She's saying she needs that for NEMSIS 3. Right, Nancy? I bet that's right. Okay. Well, guys, we'll go ahead and close out today. Again, a good way to close out 2017, the last virtual Thursday of the year, as I had mentioned. Can't thank Luke enough for being here. He is our report guru now, our product owner. I will not reveal his email address because you guys will call him and fuck him somewhere. So, but he's definitely available, and keep communicating both with the training team and with your regional rep some of these needs. And just like Nancy said, having this report available for NEMSIS 3 will be very valuable to her. And again, thanks to Alan Miller, our trainer out in Ohio, and Ryan Dennett out in Maine. You guys are awesome to have as wingmen today, and just a really good close to the year here. We'll stick around for a couple minutes. Any questions for us? Any other questions? Any other concerns that we can address before we close out the session? Even Andy says agree. Yeah, they need that same report too in Cedar Rapids. This report here.
The 1041.
Or Luke. Yeah, the 1041 exactly.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I will go ahead and check where that is, because we have a list of the N3, the N2 reports that need to be upgraded to N3. So I will make sure that if that one's not at the top, I will move it to the top.
Sweet. Yeah, I think that'd be a big one. Brian, I was in the master account, the group account. The question was, how did I get to the North Dakota state reports? That's a group account for the administrator in the state of North Dakota. And so that's why I was able to access that. That's probably not going to be available to each department in North Dakota. 1412 is another report Andy's saying, and I'm betting, Andy, you're talking about where the primary impression is needed. So this one is also still NEMSIS 2 only. Does that sound right? We can go look at that. Guys, this feedback is fantastic on NEMSIS. 1412. So it's not showing NEMSIS 2 only here. But I bet it must be.
Mention that
they might not have updated the title for that yet, but I can just to quickly jump in and let you know that 1041, that the work ticket for that has actually already been written, and it is in the queue. So it's in progress.
Excellent. Yeah, they just haven't updated the titles there. So, and guys, and thank you to all of you for the questions throughout the year, the many questions you ask us, the level of participation, especially on a virtual Thursday like today, where there's just There has to be a lot of searching in the system on these different reports. And even though we've got our team members here, those of you that helped out finding and looking for some of these reports to help the rest of the participants, just thank you. It really made it an even better virtual Thursday than we intended. So thanks so much for that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the session out unless Alan, Ryan, or Luke have anything else to add. And we'll get this converted and uploaded by the weekend, so you'll be able to review this at your leisure next week. All right, hearing no other additions, I'll go ahead and close it. And again, all the best to everybody this Christmas season.